Hello, Fightful Faithful. Welcome to a Tuesday show that we normally do, and it's about a show that's also on Tuesdays that we talk about, and I'm not sure what else we're doing.
Alex, are you talking about the Sour Graphs NXT post show on Fightful YouTube?
I am. I just forgot what to call it.
That's what it's called. That's what it's called. It is your NXT post show for May 20th. This was the go home to a PLE, and it didn't feel like it had a lot of bite to it. We're going to get into all of it, but normally NXT PLE show out. This one feels like it's not set up to show out in the same way. So we'll see what we get, but we're going to talk about it all. So get in your super chats and your humper chats at humperchats.com. Leave a thumbs up on this video if you would be so kind. Very much appreciated. The YouTube channel subscription is through the roof. We're at like 173,000 followers or something, or subscribers, which is nuts. So on track to do 200,000 by the end of the year, which is just unbelievable. We thank you so much for that support. With as much content as we put out, also valuable being subscribed, quite frankly. And in that way, if you like what you see, if you're tuning in for more than just Sour Graps, this fella reviews AEW, so you're probably going to want to check that out as well.
Also, Shock of H is asking a very important question, but I got to ask, is there a way I could get more Sour Graps? Perhaps on other days?
Shock of Ages, I have got great news for you. Because Monday nights, we review Raw and we fantasy book stables called Judgment Good Day, which really took the cake yesterday. It ruined Alex. Like, this man was in stitches more than I've ever seen him. But yeah, you can subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. You get all the scoops in the world. You get a Discord. You get backstage reports. You get Q&As. But you also get more Sour Graps with me and Alex. And then on Fridays, he reviews the last hour of SmackDown. Well, during the last hour of SmackDown, he does a watch along where he also reviews the first 2 hours of SmackDown. While I'm on the old main ski. So you get some solo Alex as well. So I love being a Fightful Select shell. It's so much fun. Well, thank you. I do too, because it pays us largely. Also, genuinely, the most amount of news, the most accurate news you can get back there. I also want to plug our free site. I know you're like, oh God, I wish there were more plugs from Kate at the beginning of the show. I am going to plug the free site though, because a lot of people say they don't want to pay for wrestling news. Well, darn it. We also had the most free news at just Fightful.com as well. Jeremy and the team work extremely hard over there. And we have some comeback kids. We have some prodigal sons returning on editorial. We got Andrew Thompson back. So, head over to Fightful.com if you're like, I don't want to pay. We got plenty of free stuff for you as well. So head on over there. I don't know what else to plug. I have new glasses coming. I'm going to be blonde this time next week. I don't know if there's anything else like. Well, I mean, what else can I tell people about?
This is a very packed weekend for us, Kate.
It is. A lot of people are going to be barbecuing and enjoying their weekends. Nuh-uh, not us. We don't run from the grind.
Yeah, we'll be doing a NXT review right here, while we are also watching the end of Double or Nothing, and then we're probably just going to go over behind the paywall and talk about that too. So that's a thing. So yeah, tune in for those things if you like us.
Please do. Yeah, there's an alternative Double or Nothing review on Fightful Select. But what I like to say is, if you're watching,
that guy likes Hot Rod, though. That guy likes Hot Rod and is trying to blackmail and force us into watching Freddy Got Fingered for less than $1,000, and so that guy deserves none of your time. But
you know what?
Watch us.
I could further explain what Alex is talking about for people that might not know, but I'm not gonna. You just have to wonder why our boss is trying to make us watch Freddy Got Fingered. And yes, we did review the movie Hot Rod, but we also watched NXT. I also do have battle bots that were gifted to me between last week and this week. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in the show and properly thank everyone. But yeah, this card is like, I think the wrestling will be very good, but it doesn't have the same, like a lot of the NXT PLEs, even when we're critical of the booking of them, like they have some momentum going into it. And tonight's show just didn't kind of like punch home a lot.
Yeah.
Had much higher expectations of the concert situation, and that fell very flat to me.
I had zero expectations.
Online, there's
They
lots
did
to
not
talk
live
about
up. So yeah, we have a lot of that to talk about. By the way, yesterday we accidentally fantasy booked an alternative to the Judgment Day featuring Grayson Waller and Bronson Reed that then became the Judgment G'day, which gave me a hernia. I laughed so hard about it. So everybody on the show watching, this is one of those fun things. If you are in the chat for the Monday night Fightful Select Raw review, sometimes you will get to pick the pun topic for the Tuesday in front of the paywall NXT review show, and they all picked Australia. So that's what we're doing. There was there was one in here already that I thought was fantastic. Is it gone? Here we go. Lieutenant Photo says, love to the SGS. Kicking off celebrating the Judgment G'day first. Destination known. Kangaroo, Ruby, Soho. Kangaroo, Ruby, Soho. So that's what you got to deal with, people. Australia puns. We're doing it. For no other reason than we accidentally booked a alternate universe stable called Judgment G'day. So
yeah,
there you go.
I also will say I wasn't going to harp on this because Lord knows Shawn is harping on it enough, but he's trying to get us to review the movie Freddy Got Fingered. And we said gladly if for $1,000 a piece. And now we also have Louise in the house again tonight. And I just feel like that is because he's trying to butter us up. He's like, I'll even give you your moderator back.
I called myself a Thanksgiving roll because I was being buttered up so much by Shawn Ross Sapp. So let's talk about NXT, and here's the deal. WWE decided, hey, AEW has already announced that one of their major pay-per-views is Double or Nothing is on this date. After it was already set, they said, let's do an NXT play that weekend. There's no reason it has to be that weekend. They just decided we're going to do it on that night. We're doing on that exact same night. Now, I guess they may have had the works in place for this Tampa weekend with Saturday Night's Main Event and whatever. But I thought
now it's not in Tampa.
Well, no, Saturday Night's Main Event is still in Tampa.
Oh, sorry, yes.
And Battleground is still in Tampa, and Raw is still in Tampa, but the NXT on Tuesday isn't in Tampa. And I was going to say that, like, maybe we'll get to this more in depth a little later, but if you're planning on running an arena that holds 9,500 people for your developmental show, perhaps, and again, just me spitballing, announce a card for it.
Sure.
Anything. Build anything anyone might care about to be on that show. Currently, the only thing they have announced for next week's episode of NXT is Ricky Starks versus Ethan Page, which is a rematch of an underachieving pay-per-view match from the last play. So, like they could have done a whole bunch of stuff with that, but they chose not to, and they've also chosen to do a pretty lackluster, I feel, card for the play on Sunday. When what it feels like they're trying to do is like pull as many people who watch both shows from paying money to watch the AEW pay-per-view live and instead watch this, but they really haven't put together much of anything in the way outside of what I think will be a tremendous women's title match.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like, it feels like almost all of the other things are just stuff you could do on a regular episode of NXT.
Sure. And I'll say, like, I have plenty of criticisms of AEW. A lot of them have been addressed in the past 3 to 6 months. I will say that as well. One thing that they don't miss at is pay-per-views. Like, we're getting Hangman and Will Ospreay.
Yeah, that's
right. So it's, if you're gonna go head to head, that I would say they're almost, I don't want to say too reliant on pay-per-views, but bread and butter for AEW, largely pay-per-views. Probably too much. And so you gotta bring something if like the plan is like, haha, we're taking a bite out of it. Now they are doing an entire slate of shows in Tampa, so I'm not there's certainly no certainty around any of that. However, looking at them on paper, it's like, well, obviously this one is going to be greater, and that's also okay. This is a developmental product. They do great on a bunch of other PLEs. Like the head-to-head feel around wrestling is something that should be exciting, which the excitement has recently took a nosedive because of idiot executives on both sides, and just some like nastiness that has been built around it. Like when it's like Eddie Kingston being like, well, go to the other place then. I'm in on that. You know what I mean? On TV shots are fun, but when it's like CM Punk making a reference nobody understands to crickets, it gets pretty worn out. So like the head-to-head thing was something that felt exciting, and now I just kind of roll my eyes at like as an entirety. For
sure. Yeah. I want both things to be good. NXT is the closest thing to somehow in some way. NXT is the closest thing to a show for me under the WWE umbrella.
I know how. It not weirdly, we've 180'd from that. Not everything is a DQ or a distraction finish on this show.
Yeah,
it's now flipped where the main roster does all that. It's exhausting.
I do have bad news for you on that front with this first match, though. Because
look, it's not all of them are going to be winners.
We're not. Nobody says we're batting 1,000 here. Shawn Legacy appears to have the goods, as the kids say. Do the kids say that?
he's.
Does the kids say that someone has the goods? Or is that a thing the kids said a while ago?
I think us imitating the kids says that somebody has the goods. I don't think
the kids should say that.
They should bring it back.
They there you go. He's really good. And I guess what I'm understanding is that the people on Evolve aren't signed to the company.
No, they're basically franchise tagged.
Yeah, basically, like you can't go anywhere else, but we also don't want to pay you what you're worth. That sounds fantastic. What a great deal for them. They should actually sign him and put him on NXT proper.
Sure.
Simple as that to me. I don't understand why we wouldn't do that.
I was thinking about this earlier as I was watching this. I was like, this probably makes sense to somebody in WWE that's not me. So know that as I say this, I'm aware of that. But the overall concept of we're going to franchise tag wrestlers that have a wrestling background that we see potential in, but not sign them to contracts. But we are going to sign to contracts like D3 athletes that haven't done this before, and we don't have a great hit rate at doing, feels so reverse to me. My only thinking is maybe the idea is those NIL talent need so much more time like in the performance center to learn how to do this, that's why they go about business that way. But it just, if I'm looking across the board at what has worked and what hasn't, the people with a wrestling background generally at minimum for the love of the game tend to do better. Now, more recently, they've had more success. Obafemi, Sol Ruka, Tiffany Stratton. Like, we've seen that start to change a little bit, which I think is good because they seem very invested in this idea of doing that. So that's good. But I was watching this match like, yeah, it seems like the one with wrestling backgrounds do better on
Like
wrestling shows.
a lot of it
Maybe
is
they should pay them.
there's a, and again, eventually the generation of people that continue to be in charge backstage will just die out. You know what I mean? And hopefully the younger generation, the like, I don't know, but like the Kenny Dykstras, the Jason Jordans, the Jamie Nobles,
Sure.
the Shane Helms that are backstage, that are match producers, will move up into being more in charge of what is doing on. But there still seems to be an old school block where these indie kids don't know what to do. They don't know how to actually work. I mean, yeah, you could do some flips, but can you find the hard cam? You know what I mean? And so that's what that's the idea, that we will teach this Division 3 football player how to do stuff in the order we want it taught to them. And part of that is where to find the hard cam, where like all that TV stuff that we want to do. But we feel like we don't want to spend all that time doing a thing that we think we need to do, which is to tear down all of the bad habits that all the indie kids figured out on the road in those bingo halls, and then rebuild them in the image. It's a lot easier, we think, to just take this D3 football player and do it. Right.
Yeah.
So you put all these indie kids in Evolve, and hopefully they'll mess up by not finding the hard cam in front of 12 people on Tubi, as opposed to doing all their spectacular friggin' crap that we saw from Shawn Legacy in this match in front of the biggest audience that this level of WWE allows. And I think that's backwards, but they don't. So Shawn Legacy is fantastic and should be a top babyface on the male roster of NXT now.
Yesterday.
Tomorrow, because yesterday isn't actually physically possible. So tomorrow is the earliest. So let's get that done, because he's great and proved it in this match against Javon Evans, a top talent for sure for the next 10 years in this company and beyond, if they're smart and throw all the money in the world that they have toward him. And also Ashante the Adonis, who's always been good but never allowed to show it. And so this was a really good little triple threat match that I kept forgetting while watching it. Oh, because of the end of last week's episode, we already know that Ethan Page is getting that title match versus Ricky Starks. But what I thought, when I kept thinking of that, well, maybe they'll just do a weird thing where the whole thing devolves into a giant brawl when Ethan Page gets involved, and then we get like a 5-man match for it or something, where Ashante the Adonis takes the pin. But Ethan Page does show up, and he attacks Ricky Starks at ringside, and Javon Evans, whose brain just flew out of his skull, decides to do a big dive onto them while Shawn Legacy pins Ashante the Adonis and becomes the number 1 contender. Not so fast, young man. Like, it is one of those deals that they did with Shotzi earlier, like several months ago, where Shotzi pinned the champ, the North American Stephanie Vaquer, when she was the North American champ. She pinned her in a tag match, a non-title thing. Pinned her, but we had already established who the actual number 1 contender was the week prior. But then Shotzi did this now, and so they had to do everything out of order. It feels like another one of those where we just decided we have 2 number 1 contenders, one of which has to be dealt with now, and the other one can wait a few weeks,
a minute.
And that's just what they're doing right now.
So triple threat was awesome. Javon is insane. And I've said this before, I am certainly not one of those like, I want to make somebody less impressive than they are people. So when I say this, I mean it's just literally for the safety of people. There are times where I'm like, he's got to learn to control his superpower a little bit. I saw it again here. I've seen it in the past a little bit, where he's so impressive that it almost can't be harnessed. And I think the only thing that he needs to quote unquote develop and developmental that I see from my non-expert eyes, but somebody who watches this shit a lot, is like he's too big for the warehouse that they're in sometimes. Like he's too big. God forbid they put him in one of those 14 by 14 rings, Alex. He would be God out of here. So he's so impressive, and I think part of what's so great about him is he almost has that, like, you know, when you're a teenager and you're an idiot and you think you're immortal on things, there's such a fine line of that where you're on the Jeff Hardy side of it where it's incredible, but you also have to like make sure that works in a wrestling context, because I thought he was just gonna overshoot some people today. Alex,
that suicide dive, he almost took it on his forehead. Like,
it's stuff like that makes me a little nervous as a watcher. It's also very exciting about him, so it's a double-edged sword.
See, Javon, the term suicide dive is actually a colloquialism. It's not literal. You don't actually have to kill yourself while doing the dive. It looks reckless, and that's why they call it a suicide dive. However, there is no need to actually kill yourself while doing it.
Correct.
He's one of those young indie kids. He's got a lot of indie kid left in him. We got to teach him how to do it right. Do the Seth Rollins running diving shove. Just do one of those.
Oh, no. I'm saying that I'm on the side of the old heads with that, because like there's some of that is.
I understand. There is a happy medium toward the old running diving shove that a lot of guys were taught to do 10 years ago, and this, which was like, can I run as fast as I can, jump over the guys I'm supposed to hit, and then just go. He just almost plowed the crown of his head into the ground. Yeah, ramp. That's how far he shot. I mean, come on. Let's
out loud said, "Oh no!" So I'm glad he's okay. Shawn Legacy. I follow some independent wrestling. I don't have a ton of space in my life to. I was not really familiar with Shawn Legacy, to be honest, and he's incredible. So he's great. That's a big L on me, because he's someone that is obviously worth having eyes on. I really like the way that he works, and I also thought it was pretty impressive considering the context he was being brought into for his like NXT proper debut into a triple threat with two very, very different guys. I thought he did great. Like I'm really impressed by him, and I look forward to seeing what comes with him, because this men's division needs the depth like really, really bad. So I think he could be a really exciting part of that, and I think they would be. I'm going to use it. I'm going to say the S word. I think they would be downright silly not to sign him like to a proper contract. But he was so much fun to watch in this. This was a fun way to kick off the show. And then I feel like on the main roster, we would be like, this like NXT like booking sucks. And now I'm like, this main roster like booking sucks. Like I don't. There's no need to go out of your way to make things so convoluted on a go home show, especially. Yeah. I'll also say like, it's like a near impossible balance to strike, because there's like sowing seeds for things that are later down the line. And then there's this weird intangible way to describe like when it's overpowering and distracting. Like this is like something that happens in NXT where you're like, wait, this is like too much too soon of it. Like it's not just a stare down on the ramp where you're like, oh, that's coming. It's like, no, this is what's next being shoveled to you when you don't have the first thing kind of wrapped up. So it's like a little bit of that, but I loved the match. I think everybody in it worked really differently and really well together. And I feel like they've got to figure out better ways to utilize Ricky Starks' on-screen time while he's in NXT. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I will also agree with you. Ryan Cicchini clarifying that some on Evolve are WWE ID, and some of them have the roster thing. A lot of Evolve stuff were people who were part of NXT before Evolve even existed. So I would assume that their contracts are what they were before. But I also Ryan Gini is saying, I will say that Legacy is way ahead of the other ID people. Some guys just got it, and he's got it. The goods, as the kids say.
He does. We'll move on, but I would also just say, like, as far as WWE ID stuff, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it until it comes true.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this company has not franchise tagged, that's what I'm going to call it, because that's what it is. WWE ID, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Becca, B3CCA, the pop star, is beyond me. I cannot think of somebody that is more copy and pastable into the WWE, especially NXT ecosystem. And like, because she's extremely silly, she's actually not. she can really, really work. And I would say that her songs are better than what Joe Hendry gave us tonight. I said it.
Well, there you go.
Fighting words. If I say B3CCA, will she appear?
No. Jambeard says Javon sometimes wrestles like he tweets. He does a thing without thinking. I do want to touch on
not that Twitter beef.
No, not that. Ashante the Adonis Sans Carmen Petrovich. I think he's really talented. I'm not sure that the best character for him is dude who does that particular dance down the ramp and then asks for a peck on the cheek from an audience plant, but then forces her to kiss him on the mouth while Booker T goes nah! on commentary. I don't think that's the best character for him. So I would say maybe go back to the drawing board on it, but yeah, it feels like he's basically Lothario's by himself, and I feel like that's not the best. It's just me though. So
it's really not. I actually had the same thought of that, like Los Lotharios thing. Yeah. I feel like Ashante does have like a very specific and cool swag to him, and this isn't it.
Yeah.
I just think they don't know how to reverse engineer out of what they started.
Sweet and Sassy Creations was at the Performance Center tonight and says, well, this is 2 hours I will not get back from sitting in their Performance Center. This was horrible. Fact. So there you go. That's Sweet and Sour.
More sassy than sweet today.
More sassy than sweet, but I appreciate you giving us the in-arena report. And then Jambeard says, Alex just created a monkey's paw about the backstage producers. When Kenny and Hurricane and the rest move up, Bully Ray is going to take their place. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. That was not something I said. That is something you said. I didn't say that. What am I saying? He's just going to skip. He's going to skip to the front of the line and take Bruce Pritchard's place, and they'll still be at the tier below. That's what Bully Ray's going to do.
Brave of you to say that when you literally spoke Pat McAfee versus Gunther into existence. So.
That was already happening. I just saw the future.
That was some Joel Pearl BS.
All right, I'm going to talk about both musical performances back to back as the main event of the show, like it was presented to us. Okay, so the next match we got was Old Double Vest versus Shawn Spears.
Old Double Vest.
Old Double Vest.
Makes it sound like he's out of a Western.
Versus Colty Dillinger. And or is it Colty Dillinger?
Ooh, well done. Well done.
All right. This is just it's a thing. It's a match. It's fine. Both these guys know what they're doing. I don't know what is this? What is going to come out of this other than the thing we're going to talk about, which is a match that doesn't need to be on the play. He fights Shawn Spears, and there's a bunch of Nico Vance gets involved. And Beej gets involved, and at the very end, Izzy Dame kicks Josh Briggs in the face as he's getting back into the ring, and Shawn Spears it was a small package and gets the pin on him, and he's very angry about this, so he attacks Ty Dillinger. Sorry, Cole Ty Dillinger in Shawn Spears. He attacks him after the match, and so of course the rest of the cult comes in to attack him, and then Hank and Tank come out to save the day, and it's Hank and Tank Invest versus the Culling. Is a match I thought they were going to make for next week, for next Tuesday, but it's on the card for the play. Is that just because, like, it's, listen, my complaint was you didn't have a follow-up for the amazing Hank and Tank match, dethroning them. You didn't have a follow-up for them. You had no other teams in place who could possibly win a battle royal or a fatal four-way or anything to get a match versus them and then build over a couple of weeks to a title match for Hank and Tank. And so you're really not going to use Hank and Tank on the play after the play where they announced themselves as being a major force in NXT for at least the time being. And they were like, oh, yeah, you're right. How about we throw them in a 6-man tag nobody cares about? Like, that wasn't the thing I was asking for. I was asking for you to do the work and find a team to challenge them for the titles, which means something. This Hank and Tank Invest doesn't mean anything to me.
Hank and Tank Invest just sounds like a good time at the brewery. It sounds like a weird theme night.
It's one of those law firms that like is like all the guys on the billboards wear sunglasses. We'll fight.
Have you been in an accident?
Yeah.
Call Hank and Tank Invest.
Hank and Tank Invest.
I think a couple of things with this. So it does seem, this is gonna sound like I'm always so aware it's wrestling, so I don't mean to ever use like strong language, but like it's kind of inexcusable that there was no follow-up for Hank and Tank when you had one, brand new champions, which means you have a brand new slate of opponents, right? Two, you had them beat a bunch of teams in a gauntlet. You could have just picked any one of those out and built something with them. And three, like they are such a feel-good. We had all that momentum coming out of a really beautifully built story, and there's been such a lot of people have been so surprised by how great they were in ring because they were such goofballs that like there should be a follow-up there. I will say, the more I'm thinking about it, like Stand and Deliver was when?
It was the 19th of a month ago. It was a month ago.
It was a month ago. So part of why it's now like coming together for me between like cuts and the last show only being a month ago, and it was your biggest show of the year. Like part of the cadence going to this pay-per-view is like it's just too soon for them to.
Well, people are mentioning in the chat that a member of Dark State pinned.
That's Hank. Where I thought it was I was wondering, like, maybe we're not
getting a Dark State match versus them, or maybe we're waiting on that. All we got tonight for Dark State was where they did this weird like round robin introduce each other thing, and we got to see that they have different Shield masks. Not everybody has the same Shield mask. It's very important to know. But like you introduced these guys at Vengeance Day by having them take out Femi. And they're
which kind of just anyone can do now, but we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
But like that was a major thing at the time. And then like I thought, okay, well, they've announced themselves in a serious way, and then you just have them. Every time they're on TV, you seem to be of the opinion that they are important and a force to be reckoned with. But they just take weeks off at a time without doing anything. And that's a really terrible way to build a faction like this at the beginning of their life cycle. You should be having them do a whole bunch of shit all the time to get us like, okay, they took out this team, they took out this team, they took out this team. I don't know how Hank and Tank's going to survive. It's a really interesting way of doing things, and they decided not. You know what? Like, here's the deal. It was really cute and everything when Inamura was like, I'm really sorry that I wasn't a good enough tag partner for you. Here's my vest. I'm leaving. What if they wrote him off the show? What if they had a match versus Briggs and Inamura, and they tied Briggs to the friggin' turbos, and they beat the tar out of Inamura, and we never saw him again? And like, not only is he going back to Japan, but now he's injured. I don't know we don't know when we'll see him again. And then Hank and Tank says, hey, they pinned us. We don't like them either. And you get Hank and Tank and Vest, but now they're against Dark State, which feels important. And I'm sorry, the culling doesn't feel important. You could have easily built to that 6-man tag. You know what I mean? And at the end of that, they take out Double Vest. Like, they're taking out big dudes left and right. I mean, take them out not forever, but like, I don't know, 3-4 weeks. And then they set their sights on, we're taking those tag titles from you. And somehow Hank and Tank beat them. But after they win, they beat the tar out of Hank and Tank. Like, make them formidable.
That I think is the problem. I feel like they had them pin them and then realized, like, well, we don't want to end the reign that shortly, and these guys are too new to be taking losses, even if they look vicious after, which feels contrary because WWE isn't huge on caring about wins and losses. See Roxanne Perez 3-15. But like, it feels like they did that, and then we're like, oh, the follow-up isn't going to work for either team. So they just bailed on it. Mm-hmm. And to your point about Dark State, like, I feel like we had no idea who these guys were for the first 6 weeks they were around. And now we've had like 3 introduction segments. And something that was so crucial with the Shield, and what I believe is a huge reason that didn't go down the cheeseball route for the most part.
Yeah.
Was they were always, when they were talking to the camera, they were always talking to their next opponent, victim, whoever. These guys are aimlessly talking to the camera, and it comes across really corny when you do that, man. Like, it just doesn't feel like they're going after anything.
My first question was, who are you and what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Tonight, I believe they have fully given us the answer to the first one with this round robin introduce yourself thing. Like it feels like I don't know, a company retreat or the first day of like play rehearsals where it's like, okay, you're partnered up with somebody you don't know and you interview them for 5 minutes and then you will introduce that person to the rest of the group. And that was this segment. And I was like, okay, but also, what do you want? What are you you can't be nebulous like, we want to get more opportunities than we're getting before. Okay, well, it's not going so great for you guys. What's up? What are we going to do about this? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, man.
Well, bad news. You're bad at that part.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
No, it would have been cool.
I did have a third question. The third question was, why don't you wear sleeves correctly? At this point, though, I've kind of accepted it as like a personal quirk of his. You know what I mean?
We've crossed the Rubicon on that for sure. Like we've gone too far.
Yeah.
I will say, I wish in the beginning they had they might not want to do this on the CW for reasons I would understand. For the same reason I understand, while I support and love intergender wrestling, why people don't want that depicted on television. I get it. Them like taking out Ava or tying up Ava until she gave them opportunities would have been the move, because
the second thing they ever did was beat the blood out of Robert Stone and then scrawl in his blood on the wall, "No one is safe." They did that in February. A lot of people are still safe. I mean, most people, 100% of people are safe. So it's the opposite of no one.
I would
everyone
honestly,
is safe. I don't understand.
Pound for pound, the government in Florida is doing a nastier job than Dark State as far as like keeping people safe, like putting people in danger. I feel like, yeah. I feel like that's a bigger issue.
No one is safe. No one is safe. I don't know, man.
Most people are safe.
I don't understand. It's just he's whatever. So they could have easily kidnapped Robert Stone and used him to like, Ava, you will give us title matches or we'll like send you back body parts. Like, dude, I don't know, do something that makes you seem formidable.
I feel like because people have like this, like fans have this playful support of Ava, like it would have been very affecting to have taken her out in the process. And they still could at some point, but as far as like an establishing move, I think that would have been really strong for them.
Oh, here we go. So Fordo Soup says the reverse Lance Archer. Nobody dies. Or
most people are safe around here.
Everyone survives. That's good. And here's the one from
the least intimidating faction ever.
Jambeard says, I have a theory about the sleeves. He needs to balance his body temp like how when people would have one leg under the blanket but the other exposed. That is how I sleep. So one sleeve dude and me,
kinship.
Same. We are same. Kinship. We are same. That's fantastic. Now I understand. Now I get it.
There you go.
Now I get it.
Should we do some chats?
Yes. Yeah, sure. JW Pringle says, amazing Alex, Killer Kate, powerful Papa Paul, Elizabeth, and all the SGS. Sorry I've been away. Much love to you all. It's good to be home. It's good to have you home, JW Pringle.
You never have to apologize for being absent. We appreciate your presence whenever you're able to be here. That being said, we share parents and they are concerned, so nice to have you back around. We love you so much.
JW, Mom just wants to hear your voice.
That's it.
I
just
understand.
Check in from time to time, you know?
You and Dad had a falling out at Thanksgiving, but don't blame Mom for it. Just call Mom. Right?
Well, hold on. My dad mentions JW Pringle far too much on the show for that to be true. Every week.
Actually, we got one from your father who says,
there you go.
Welcome to another Tuesday night where everything sucks except Team Kalex and the SGS. Welcome home to our prodigal son, JW Pringle.
See? The gang's all here.
The gang is all here. Let's do some of these Australian puns. Jambeard says, so who is all in Judgment G'day? Rhea, Waller, the Iconics, Buddy Matthews, Indy Hartwell, and the Bushwhackers. No, Bronson Reed is definitely the number 2 to Grayson Waller. Somehow Grayson Waller is number 1. I don't know how, but he is. And Meet Normus, here we go. Some puns. Penta El Cerro Marsupials. Kookaburra Beware. Solo Koala.
Solo Koala is great. I'm here for that, especially because I'm dyslexic. It doesn't even like look all that weird.
Bam Bam Box Jellyfish. I feel like you could have been done better than Box Jellyfish. But all right. Will Ostrich. Will Ostrich. The
Ostrich.
That's an African bird. The Mighty Dropkick Kangaroos. And Tasmanian Team 2000.
Tasmanian Team 2000 is excellent. Thank you.
Just Ricardo, without a pun, but put in the puns, says, hello, lovelies. How were the Graps tonight? Graps were fine. It was the concerts that weren't great.
Yeah, it was pretty medium overall.
Louisville says, Grayson Wallaby. And the 1, 2, 3 Echidna.
Oh, that's so good, mate.
And then Sky Bluey.
Is Bluey Australian?
Yeah, Bluey's Australian. Oh yeah, very Australian.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How is the dog very Australian? Is he an Australian Shepherd?
No, he's a blue heeler, which of course was used in the the cattle wrangling over there. So
got it. Daphne, as we're talking about this, my adorable dog is Australian Shepherd and blue heeler mix. So
she's also in the stable.
Yeah, definitely. You said we were rehiring Duke Hudson. So we were rehiring Shane Haste. Thank you.
Yeah. Just for you.
Just for me.
Just for you.
Know what else is for me?
What?
The Dodgers had like Mexican Heritage Night, and they had a Lucha Libre ring set up, and Bad Dude Tito and Che Cabrera, the Wolf Zaddies, were one of the teams. I couldn't make out who their opponents were, but
nice.
Go show some love to Bad Dude Tito and Che. They're fantastic and criminally underrated. I love Tito. Best.
Tom LaValle was not here with us last night. So he independently of us came up with har nar nar he nar 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 nar.
I was laughing so hard at us for that yesterday.
I still think I've got a hernia. Rafael Garcia says Crocodile, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Steve Kerwin White.
Steve
Alpha Bill says first day of work after 3 months of corporate bullcrap. Want to thank the SGS with all my heart during this time. Also, he says that he should be the guest judge for these slanderous puns. And I said last night that for Alpha Bill, who is from Australia, the Judgment G'day is his version of El Grande Americano.
100%.
And we just don't care. It's too good of an idea to be sensitive to your culture, Alpha Bill.
Except for when we purchase Pro Wrestling Australia and then do it entirely insulting.
Right. Janbeard says Bronson Reef.
Bronson Reef is very good.
Bronson Reef. I'm gonna save some of these for later, but this is very, very good. Very good. Oh yes, Luis has a bone to pick with the fashion of the beach. Everyone's wearing all black, but he's wearing a pink polo shirt. Like, it's not, if you're part of a cult, like you gotta get it, you gotta fit in, man.
It's true. Pink polo shirt doesn't really fit in.
No,
I'm gonna keep on dancing with my pink polo shirt.
Okay. They were on the verge of doing something with this that I was interested in, but I don't know if it's going to continue beyond this one little segment. Thea coming up to Tatum and being like, dude, what the hell? You're trying to take my eye out. That's not okay. Why are you blaming me? You'll never understand how it feels to lose everyone. And Thea's like, actually, more than anybody, I would understand.
I kind of do. Yeah.
I mean, not just the fact that Duke and Riley were released, and Ridge decided to turn on the university, but also JC Jane turned on her.
Yeah,
Fallon Henley turned on her. Like, the only person who's still around from when she was doing stuff is Chase U, and he's over here slumming it with the simps. Like, so like that. Honestly, I kind of was interested in where they found common ground. I want more of the Tatum Paxley stuff, for sure. But most of this is just so Jada Parker can run in and punch Thea Hale in the face.
Yes.
And then it'd be like, then she says to Tatum, actually, you know what, Tatum? I really feel for you. You do? No, of course not, you dummy. she leaves. There you
go. This popped me, by the way. I'm having wicked dreams of leaving Double-B is fantastic. I would love for them to do that. People, not necessarily you,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people are, and I know you appreciate Thea Hale, the performer, and not
Right.
always the character. I don't want them to lose momentum with her coming back because I was like, oh, they're just gonna have her win that vacant
Already
title.
lost. Gone.
But this story with Tatum could go somewhere if they want to like kind of run this back. Tatum Paxley is doing just awesome work. Like she's just I mean over the course of WWE as a whole, main roster included, she's one of the most compelling characters because I think they've done a very tasteful job of recognizing why she is the way she is authentically without being like it's because people got cut that she cares about.
Mm-hmm.
Like and her character would react like this, and I'm just week over week more and more impressed by how she's able to kind of turn lemons into lemonade with this, and she's good in the ring, man. Like she can really deliver. So I hope they let her stay in this accessible middle ground because as we discussed last week, they don't necessarily have the best track record of people that have spooky gimmicks. But she's not full that, right? She's not supernatural powers girl. So if she kind of returns to the roots of wanting golds because all of her friends have left her and she can't rely on anything but getting back to that, I think it could be a really like inspired direction to go in.
Sure.
And I just am even in just segments like this, I was like, oh God, that's so sincere. Like she finds ways to make her very unhinged self very relatable. Like you can see the emotion and there's emotion you can connect to just as a human element without it being like, I'm so crazy and weird all the time. Like she's really good about keeping that part on the surface. And I appreciate that so much.
100%. So I guess we're getting more Jada Parker and Thea Hale stuff, but also now Tatum Paxley doesn't like Jada Parker because she made fun of her.
So this is the other thing with like there are advantages to doing so many multi-person angles, and like we saw in the opener and like we saw in this, like it's really good for your talent rotation. And I think because there were cuts, is really important to go out of your way to make a lot of people feel very important right now. But it also wears out how many times people are dance partners with each other pretty quick. So I just hope that they don't fatigue that aspect of kind of their middle upper card in that way. But I'm here for the rematch. That's fine.
If they're really taking Steph to the main roster, like that's 3 gigantic titans of this division that have been taken to the main roster, one after the other. Jordan Grace can absolutely hold down the women's world title. I like the Sol Ruca as the women's North American title thing.
Me too.
They don't slip too far into why did you accidentally run into me storylines. But they've got the roster, they've got the hosses to come after each of those champions. You just got to actually use them properly. Mike, if you were asking me what would I rather have, Zelta being like, I'm really sorry I ran into you, Sol. Please, let's still be friends. Or Zelta being like, you think you've beaten everybody? You think you're the strongest, baddest woman here? Jordan Grace, you haven't fought me yet. I know which one I pick. I picked the second one. So, there's a lot of stuff that, we could get out of this, but okay. Chase University, the Chase U Simps, had the misfortune of being booked in a match with the returning OTM.
That is true.
This was not long, but it was still too long. I can't believe that mustachioed simp comes from the legacy and the loins of Fit Finlay. I simply can't believe that Mustache Simp is a Finlay. Like, Rajki says, still cracks me up that a Finlay is in Chase U. It boggles my mind that guy, it came from Fit. Hornswoggle looks more like the real son of Fit Finlay than Uriah Connors, the least intimidating of the two Chase U simps. His real
I
name
thought you were
is
going to say of the two Finleys.
He's well, for sure, but his real name is Brogan Finlay, which is about as cool a name I could think of, and then they went with Uriah Connors. You did that on purpose to make you seem more like less of a threat, and then you grow out the mustache. Yikes.
It is funny that like David Finlay is a Bullet Club leader, and then we also have a Chase Hughes in the same bloodline. But okay, So what's tricky is right now, we've talked about this a lot, and I think they're trying to solve this problem, but there's just no clarity in this tag division about like who's at the top of the division, who's not. And Inamura leaving like kind of hurt that more than I maybe initially realized, of like, oh, that was like kind of the big team there for a second. Out the Mud coming back is good, but you almost have to have wins and losses like this just to say like who's on top and who's on bottom. And I'm wondering if this is opening the door to maybe like maybe the story is, and I know you're going to hate it, but it'll be short-lived at least. Like maybe the story is like, oh, you can't recreate Chase U. That was like its own moment in time. And then,
oh my God, nothing would please me more than to just have the Chase U gone forever. And because Andre Chase really realizes that was a moment in time and it's done now.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, they're having trouble with deciphering who's on top and bottom in this tag division. But if you know who's on top and bottom, but you're having other issues of things you're trying to sort out.
Right, yeah.
We've got the help for you.
Blue Chew, main event performance, main event confidence, and a main event deal. Go to BlueChew.com and use the code FIGHTFUL, and you will get Blue Chew with their first shipment for free. Shipment? Yeah, I said shipment. No waiting in line at the pharmacy, no awkward doctor's visits. You take their online exam, and then if approved, it's shipped straight to your door. That's right. Same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in a chewable form and much more affordable. How can you pass up on this? How can you pass up on that confidence? How can you pass up on that performance? How can you pass up on making your sex life better? That's what Blue Chew is here to do. You don't have to have a problem to use Blue Chew. Just get that additional performance. BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL.
Bro, you don't even need a code anymore. Got some outdated ad reads, but BlueChew.com, great sponsor of ours. Very kind to us.
Mm-hmm. So I think that you could easily talk me into an OTM versus Hank and Tank program, but when we got to do Dark State first, because Dark State pinned them already, and I feel like Dark State is way more likely to be the next tag champs than OTM. So
I almost feel like that's the problem.
I feel like they had him pin him too early, and then they were like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, I think they want Hank and Tank to have a longer reign, and then
Hank and Tank to be the champions, certainly through Heat Wave or whatever. That they're going to still do that kind of show. Then you got to.
They're triple threat pervs. Like they could just have OTM get pinned by Hank and Tank. Like that's the way out of it if that's what happened.
Right. They are triple threat pervs, for sure.
I feel like you really no-sold my incredible segue.
It was a very good segue, but like it was a very good segue. If I don't want you to get overconfident. You know what I mean? Because then you're going to start jacking up threes from all over the place, and I need you to play within the offense. Okay?
Steph Curry, I am. Oh man. Guys, get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. There's a lot more of you watching now than were at the beginning of the show, so I'm not gonna replug everything, but I will say, Fightful Select is our lifeblood. We appreciate any subscriptions that you can give us over there for $5.99 a month. All of the original reporting that we provide there fuels like a lot of aggregates, quite frankly. We're the most aggregated wrestling site in the world right now. So if you are able to, supporting original reporting it's how we pay our bills. It goes a long way in helping us out. You can get information accurately and not in the context of the World Wide Web and the internet, which gets pretty wild from time to time with inaccuracy. And there's just tons of information that's going up there all the time. You also get me and Alex being wacky, being clever, quite frankly, being smart behind the paywall. And not only for wrestling analysis, but we bring certain sophistication to films like Hot Rod. And we did review that. I think our review was about an hour and a half. I think Shawn's run-ins added like another hour to that show.
They did.
But we have so much fun back there as well. So if you dig this and you do have $5.99 a month to support, you can also sign up annually for a discount. It is appreciated. And just a reminder also to leave a thumbs up on this video and to get in your super chats and humper chats if there's anything you want to talk about with tonight's show or going into the PLE or the play, as it were, Alex.
Jambeard highlighting that WWE does the stupid thing where they rename children of famous former WWE wrestlers, but I acknowledge that they are in fact the children. Looks at Dempsey and Breaker and now Finlay's kid. They've acknowledged that Braun Breaker is from the Steiner legacy, but I don't think they've ever actually told us that Charlie Dempsey is William Regal's kid. And as far as I know, they haven't mentioned it with Finlay, but I mean,
no,
but
I was kind of hoping when this new faction started with Seth and Heyman, the Seth Riders, as it were, I was hoping they would just rename him Braun Steiner, like instead of Braun Breaker. I felt like that was the perfect opportunity to do it, but I guess they're just riding into the sunset with this.
Paul Heyman coming out and telling everyone, this is who you are. This is your Braun Steiner. You come from a lineage of great wrestlers and great champions. And by the time you are done, you have left your father and your uncle far behind in the dust. You are the best of your bloodline. And that's why they start and immediately do it.
He would kill that promo. He would kill that promo. If he can make Mike McGillicuddy Curtis Axel, he can easily make Braun Breaker Braun Steiner.
Yeah. They have hinted at it with Regal and Dempsey, which is like what I want them to do. I want them to be overt with it. I want Charlie Dempsey to be the son of William Regal. I want it to be Charles Regal.
I wonder if they're waiting for like, do you want to be an on-screen presence or not? Because I think there's just such a great story that you could tell there, and they want to pick the right time. But that whole faction is obviously headed somewhere weird. So,
yep. So, anyway, the Chase U Simps lose, and there's a pretty cool tandem finisher by OTM. Them moving on and upward, fine with me. And then the Chase U Simps are back to the drawing board. That's fine. I really, really loved this Oba and Miles Bourne segment. I really, really loved it. I love what they're doing with Oba in this situation because it is so. There's a tightrope you got to walk with this, where you want to make sure you're not babying the kid, but you also don't want to like make fun of him. So he didn't do that.
The vulnerability is incredible in wrestling, and it's tough to nail sometimes.
He went like across like the tightrope you have to walk, but Oba was like doing cartwheels across it. Like he was absolutely nailing the thing of like, nobody thought you were going to get to this point. I'm really surprised, but you've done it. And honestly, I can see why. You put in all this work. You're trying. You've trained so hard to be here. You've overcome so much. But if you want to be just like everybody else, that I'm going to have to treat you just like everybody else. I'm not going easy on you. And you do realize what this means for yourself and your health, right? Miles did a really, really great promo as well about like how I'm out here by myself. They've helped me, but this is me. I'm here by me because I'm going to do this. And him cutting the promo of how much he's overcome and how all these people, I'm deaf, but everybody's going to hear the 1, 2, 3 when I beat you at Battleground. That was halfway through his speech, and that was the point where Oba was like, "Oh man, like it's like one of those deals of, listen, I respect the hell out of you. You are going to lose. You are going to lose badly. I'm going to hurt you, and I'm really sorry I'm going to have to do this to you, kid." Like there's a bit of in Oba Femi of being the guy who's like, wow, man, I do respect the hell out of you. I'm going to beat the hell out of you though. Like I'm still Oba Femi. I'm the ruler of NXT. Come at me with everything you got. I hope you do, because I'm not going to go easy on you. But there's a part of me that goes, man, I wish you were facing anybody else for the title. I would be rooting for you. But you are facing me for the title, and I'm going to kick your ass. That kind of like nuanced thing there. And he was doing that all wordlessly with just his eyes and his expression. Listening to Miles Bourne give this fantastic speech and him being like, oh, okay, all right. Then I know what I've got to do. And I'm sorry I'm going to have to do it to you because I really do respect you. That's what it felt to me when he was everything he was doing. And then he got trounced by some dude wearing a very big chain. And then Miles Bourne ran that guy out of the ring, and there was a little tussle there for not a tussle, but there was a, give me my title. Here's your title. All right. Well, I'll see you on Sunday. But yeah, the guy's Jasper Troy apparently won LFG. He carries a very large chain around his neck. Eventually, I'm assuming the people who didn't watch LFG will know anything about this guy, but you know what I mean? It's very funny though that like they had a little segment earlier where is now official, even though they taped the matches in March, but now it is official. It was broadcast that the winners of those matches were Jasper.
You're telling
Troy.
me they didn't go back to Madison Square Garden Theater to film 2 matches?
They did not, in fact, do that.
Interesting. Okay.
Tamyra Mensah-Stock, the gold medalist, is now Tyra May Steele. She won. She was very happy to be there. Jasper Troy was not. He was like, I'm going to make it. But it's very funny to me. They each had a prop around their neck, like to distinguish who I am a gold medalist, as signified by the gold medal.
He gold medal.
Likes chains of the large variety. And that's that. I feel like, okay, great, cool.
Tyra May Steele was kind of the. I have not voluntarily watched a second of the show. I'm not kidding. SP3 watches and reviews the show. You can catch him on In the Weeds, genuinely talking about the show. He's in the weeds on the show. Like, if you want to hear actual thoughts about it, SP3 will give them to you. I don't know anybody else in the wrestling space that is covering LFG.
But that dude watches Road Rules and stuff. That guy's like, he's in on this whole thing.
I don't know if I know of anybody that like watches and diligently delivers analysis as much as SP3. He will cover Stardom. He will cover New Japan. He will cover those things. He won't just like watch them, as well as like pretty much every American TV product. So just shout out to him for his work ethic with that. But like him and Jeremy talk about it under the weeds. So there you go. But from my understanding, Tyra May Steele was kind of like the breakout from the beginning, and I think there were a lot of people.
She was also signed to WWE a long friggin' time ago, and was actually on Level Up a bunch of times. And when I found out she was in this, I was like, well, she's just winning it, right? And then she won. Like, it didn't make a lot of sense for her to be in it and not win it if she's already signed to the company. But
I think there were a lot of people that like she got really like vulnerable and emotive, and people were like, okay, we knew like you could probably coast off of your gold medal from the Olympics, but like you can do this side of it too. And I think that's what blew a lot of people out of the water. So that part is cool. I loved what we got from Oba and Miles in this because of all the reasons you talked about, but I'll just also add, like, last week he ended on, I want to be judged on my ability, not my disability. And the character of Oba Femi's next move is to pick up exactly how he did from that line. So Miles Bourne kind of really drove that home. I loved him being like, NXT trainers didn't believe I would get to this point, quite frankly. Like him just kind of standing on it all, I thought was really, really cool. I'm continually impressed by how well he adapts to WWE cadence, considering he's partially deaf. Like the fact that he is in line with like the way that WWE superstars deliver promos. I'm like, wow, like that's, I just don't, I'm blown away by the fact that he's able to grasp that specific thing with this. But Oba Femi just being like, you want to be judged on your ability and not your disability? That means you're going to walk out of here like everybody else feels like one of the more, it feels like a promo, Alex. It doesn't feel like a speaking segment. I say that all the time. Promote the match. Like, a promo is to promote the match. It's not to say a bunch of words that sound really cool and enticing. This feels like promos. I feel like they are promoting the match that they're delivering this weekend. And that alone, I'm like, can we get more of that on all of American wrestling television, please? But I loved that Oba Femi just said, you want to be judged on your ability? You're going to walk out of here like everybody else does then. Sorry, pal. Great stuff. And allowed Miles Bourne to have the vulnerability that he needed to for us to continue to root for him.
Right.
I mean, just a very underdog way, right? Without it being, like you said, not insulting, not a mockery, no cheap heat shit. No, like, how are you going to be able to, like, hear the sound of me coming for what I like? None of that nonsense. Like this was, I loved this. This might have been my favorite thing on the show tonight.
Yeah, I think so too.
Other than getting to watch Zaria wrestle, because that's just always fun. But yeah.
I also think that the Jasper Troy coming after Oba is a really big red flag for the men's division in NXT. Like we shouldn't be jumping to that yet. You know what I mean? Like the guy who comes out of LFG shouldn't get a title match beforehand, and if he does, then Oba's going to win, and so that's an early loss for this dude. Like, have him come in and take out fan favorite baby faces. You know what I mean?
100%.
And that's a very easy thing to do. Sean Legacy should be getting a title match before this guy. You know what I mean?
I thought the same thing in real time watching it.
But I think that we're running out of time to start the thing that I want that needs to be started, which is that we're getting one-on-one matches with Javon Evans and Oba Femi, and Javon Evans loses the first two over the course of 6 months, and 4 or 5 months later he gets a third one and he wins it. Like, it's so obvious and so perfect and so great, and those are obviously the top two guys you got right now. So do those things. But along the way, there are other people that could possibly be built up to do that. But right now, it ain't. We're just dropping in Jasper Troy into the orbit of Oba Femi. Feels.
It's also like you're doing that on top of a shock win for Miles Bourne, right? Which tells me, like, a shock win when you have a bunch of other built up guys at the top of the card is really great. Now it just feels like we're digging deep into the well because we just don't have that many people built up. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't know who that really benefits, but yeah. We'll see what happens. Also, we got to get past this. Like, we beat up Boba Femi after a match, or like after a segment or after a match thing. That playbook is playing out too many times now. When it's a bunch of guys, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jesper Troy is large.
He is. But Obafemi is Obafemi.
Yeah. So there was an earlier segment in which Lola was talking to Stephanie. Who was Lola talking to backstage?
Wasn't Stephanie.
She was talking to somebody else, and then in walks Fallon and JC. I forget who she was talking to.
Was it Soul? Was she talking to Soul Ruka?
I don't know. Lola was talking to somebody inconsequentially. And then it was Vaquer. Yeah, it was Stephanie Vaquer.
Oh, it was. I take it back.
And then then Stephanie Vaquer leaves, and in walk Fallon and JC Jane's like, you're so stupid because you're not gonna get a title shot at Stephanie Vaquer because we are. Like, you guys need to worry about yourselves because you guys don't seem to be on the same page at all. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about because I didn't get pinned. She did. Can we get to the point where the thing breaks up? Can we do
Can we
that?
skip to the good part? Yeah.
I don't even know what qualifies as a good part. Can we skip to the end? Can we skip to the end of this because everyone knows where it's going? Can this not be the female version of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller where they're trying to break up for 14 months, but the writers just won't let them? Okay, so Lola says, I'll fight one of you. JC Jane says, how about you fight Lola tonight, Fallon, since you're so great? And so Lola versus Fallon is made for tonight, and it is match. It's good.
It is. It is a match.
Good. It's good. And Lola beats the horse girl because JC Jane gets on the ring apron and they conk noggins or something. No, Fallon accidentally. Here's the deal. They had back-to-back women's matches in the second hour of the show where the match ended effectively the same way, where one woman has a different woman at ringside who gets on the apron, and then that woman runs in, knocks her off the apron. One of them probably is more sorry about it than the other, but it's the same ending. One of them turns around into the back fist finisher. The other one will get rolled up from behind into a schoolgirl roll up. It's the same frigging end, and you did them back to back. You didn't even space them out. Back to back, both women's matches. Not like one women's match and one men's match. It's the same finish.
Yeah.
So
this happens in AEW too. I'm like, can match agents just, is there a 20-minute period where everybody can sit down in catering and say, what was the finish of your thing? And that is a maddeningly lazy thing to be in all of wrestling. Also, by the way, this chat got me good that Obafemi would make a bad pallbearer because he never lets us down.
He would never do that. He would never let us.
Because otherwise, it feels like he could carry by himself. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
he could never let us down.
But he would, yeah. So, yeah. So Lola Vice is positioned somewhere near a division where she could get a title shot. But Horse Girl and JC Jane are just, just doing stuff.
Has Jasmine Nix vanished into thin air?
No, I think Shawn reported that they asked around and she's just not cleared right now, but she'll be back soon.
Oh, okay.
is what they were told. So yeah. Anyway, we had a vignette or a
Vinya.
for Jordan Grace that I thought was very good. I think she's really great at telling her story. I thought this was excellent. There was another vignette for Stephanie Vaquer about 7 years ago. She had a tryout, but they didn't sign her, so she took that as a sign to get better. And then she went to Mexico and she honed her craft while sleeping on kitchen floors. And so she could get to this point of being La Primera. And then she had an interview with Kelly Kincaid, which was fine. You don't have to sell me on this match. This is a match that you don't have to do any prep for me. For other people, you might. So that's fine. You did a good job of that. But like, I didn't really pay too much attention to this because I am already at a level 10 of anticipation of this. Yeah. Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordan Grace is the reason to check in on Battleground. It would be great if that match was going on at the same time as a dud on the card of Double or Nothing. Just be great to be able to do that if you were a person
like,
who
surprise, Chris Jericho's back. Okay, great.
Yes. And click and change the channel. Yeah, it was this. I'm very, very excited for Jordan Grace versus Stephanie Vaquer. Everyone keeps telling me Stephanie Vaquer is going up. She's going up. She's going up. They want her right now. They want her right now. And if that's the case, Jordan Grace is the absolute perfect person to take the title off of her and just become a brand new institution in NXT until all the other girls underneath her are ready to be there as well.
I think they're going to have to be careful about being like best women's division if they continue to gut and cut. The gut and cut, as it were. It's also exhaustive. Like, you can highlight that it's the strength of the show without... I'll say this as a women's wrestling fan and a wrestling fan that is a woman. I love like showcases of things of like all women's PLEs or pay-per-views and whatever. Like, you don't need to unicorn syndrome it though. Like there's not like, wow, they're so special because they're women and they wrestle. It gets a little tedious when you like shove it down people's throats that inorganically to the point where it becomes like a little patronizing and insulting. Like it doesn't feel like a point of pride. And this isn't just NXT. This is in general. Like when I see like we need an all women's promotion or an all women's event, I'm like, showcases are cool, but like, for example, if you do another Evolution card, but then you still don't care about your women's mid-card titles to the point where Zelina Vega, who has had 5 wins in the past 5 years or whatever, is winning them. Evolution doesn't do that much for me because you still aren't giving a shit about women in the grand scope. It feels like you're doing that to stave off criticism rather than actually give a shit about women's wrestling. Right. So I would say NXT does a phenomenal job of giving women oftentimes more screen time than the men. Diversity within the representation of people's presentations now. That was not true a while ago. All the bad girls looked the same, right? Like we made so many jokes about it. Like they do a great job. So you kind of don't have to go over the top with like, we're the greatest in the world. Like you're showing us, you don't have to tell us so heavy handed. Like you're showing us all the time. Julia and Jordan Grace had one of the best women's matches I've ever seen on free TV just to send the women to the main roster. You know what I mean? So that's just a me thing. Like where I sit as a women's wrestling fan and a wrestling fan that's a woman is like, you don't have to shove that down our throats when you are flat out displaying it on a regular basis of more recent months, especially. Like it is abundantly clear. You don't need to yell about it. And I'm always just in general the gal that feels like James Dean wasn't cool because he told you how cool he was all the time. He was cool because he was a badass with a white t-shirt and a jacket and a cigarette, and he just was cool. Like, you can just be the thing without having to be like, look how incredible we are. And I know that's not the WWE way because I watched the main roster. But I would just say, like, if there was a tweak that I could make in the overall presentation of the women's division there, that would be it. It's just to, like, let's yank back on that a little bit because you're showing us week over week, right? So mini rant, but overall overwhelmingly positive.
I 100% agree. And also, you look at where we're at with the women on the main roster, and you have all these women who have just been called up and also are still in NXT. And if you just take a look across the entire list of women who are contracted WWE, they have a crazy list of so much talent. But if you make it to the main roster and the first thing that gets cut for time is the women's match, the women's match, the one that we've got. We've only got one of those, but we're going to cut time from that when the Rock shows up and talks for 25 minutes. Like, then you're not using the talent that you have. You may have a fantastic roster in women's division, but you're not using it properly. And so it doesn't make any sense for you to bring up Stephanie Vaquer and Julia and Roxanne and eventually Jordan Grace and then to not utilize them properly. And you know, and to like, not to pick on Zelina, because I think she certainly as a person is deserving, but as a wrestler, you have proven to us over the past 3 years that she sucks at this with the way you book her win-loss record. So you could choose somebody. You could bring up Jordan Grace and have her squash 4 women in a row and get a title shot and become a champion. You could do that, or you could just have somebody who's won 2 matches in 3 years just get a title shot and win. Because Roxanne, who is 3-15 on the main roster, is now on the Money in the Bank and could easily win that, and then could cash it in and become a champion when 3-15 since October. And so you don't care about the wins and losses. You just care about who's presented the way you want to present them as the top thing. So maybe
I'll also say, like, I like the shock win because I like upsets in real sports too, right? And I like underdog. That's fun. Zelina Vega wasn't even on TV enough for us to elicit emotion to be behind her. Like, it was dead silent when she walked out for the match that she eventually won. And she got a pop because people like her, but I'm like, man, imagine if she was just even on screen at all, really? Like, it's so, like, even with the shock win, which is a story that I love told, like, I love what we're doing with Miles Bourne right now.
Sure.
I feel like the people have to at least be, like, on screen enough that you're emotionally attached to them so that when you're rooting for the underdog, it pays off in a special way. But anyway.
Yeah. There was, after the big brawl that happened, backstage, we have Ava with her security next to her in their black Dockers, and across at the end of a big long conference table is Ricky Saints and El Ego, and Egan Page yelling about, I gotta beat you up.
No, kill him with the smile.
I'm gonna beat you up. I want to let's have a match, you and me, right now, tonight. And Ethan's like, no. It's like, what if I put the title on the line? Oh, that perks you up, doesn't it? Let's do it tonight. And Ava's like, hey, now, you don't make the matches. I make the matches around here. So here's what we're gonna do. You guys can have the match, but not tonight. You can do it next week. And I was like, okay, fine.
She really plays fast and loose with who makes matches when it's convenient.
Maybe if we had figured out a way to make this into a thing people really cared about and wanted to see, and you did that with, let's say, 3 or 4 other matches, and you advertised that ahead of time, you would have been able to sell enough tickets that you wouldn't have had to drop from the Tampa show back to the PC. You know what I mean? Some people do need to know what they're buying a ticket to go see before they buy the ticket.
especially when your main roster is so expensive just to go to a weekly TV taping.
Yeah.
And I don't think they did like they didn't do a Tampa package. Like,
Yeah.
so to my knowledge, at least. So I would just say, like, it's especially important when people are spreading their dollar thin for your main roster product already to get them to buy into something like that. Like the trickle down of that feels.
They had sold approximately 6 times as many tickets as they can sell at capacity in the PC. But that's not nearly enough to do that arena they were in. They would not have.
That might be 1,000 people or whatever.
But
yeah, that might be 1,700 people.
1,700 people bought tickets to this thing, but you can only fit 300 people in this warehouse you perform in. So I don't know, like maybe don't book the 9,500 seat. Tampa's got to have a venue similar to the one you ran in St. Louis that one time when you decided not to run the big arena and you dropped down to that theater. It was a really cool arena. You've got to have something in Tampa or St. Pete that resembles that. Use that instead. But also know that you're going to use that weeks ahead of time and don't try to kid yourself that you are not going to build a card at all for a 9,500 seat arena and get people to buy tickets to not know what they're going to go see. So,
Agreed.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Aaron Ruiz, the triple threat from the beginning was for a number 1 contendership. But it's not the most important one. The most important one is the Ethan Page one. And we'll get around to Shawn Legacy, who won a contendership tonight. We'll do that later. Right now, Ricky Saints hates Ethan Page, and that's more important because the wrestling is the least important. What matters is all the other stuff more. We'll get around to what the wrestling told us we have to do. We'll do that later. Right now, it's all the stuff that happened outside the ring that's more important.
It's very busy. It's very busy. Busy things going on the show.
Tony D just needs to. If he gets to the main roster and like we're not using you and they release him, he should never do wrestling again. He should just go be a friggin' actor. This was so great, this promo to the camera. Oh God, the way he modulated, the way he went from low and growling at the camera to being like, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. Like everything was so freaking great. The cadence, like he's really, really good at playing this type of part. He's also a really great wrestler. I'm not saying he should never wrestle again. I'm just saying, why take bumps when you could go and
why fill up the bump card when you can just fuck off to Hollywood? Yeah.
Go fuck off to Hollywood now. Why wait until you're 40 something? Do it now. This was a really great little vignette. I have zero doubt in my mind that he is losing because Luca and Big Ange are showing up and revealing that they are on on Stax's side. And that is what happens. I just don't know what you do with him after that. And for that matter, I don't know what you do with Stax, Luca, and Big Ange after that. Because the act is Tony D. And then he's got like the rest of the backup band. It doesn't quite work without him. He can go solo, but it'd be kind of weird. And
you would need a repackaging.
Yeah. This is not when Steve Perry left Journey and they can find a little guy who like does Steve Perry really good and just put him in the band and still tour. They can't do that with this, I don't think.
The other thing is because it's a mob family, you can't do the like they fell apart but they reunite down the line. Like they're a mob family, so you can't do like they can't be sowing seeds of dissension here, right? Like there's not when you're in a mob framework, there's not really like an opportunity for reconciliation so much. Mm-hmm. So it feels to me like it's got to be a Tony D call up or something.
Yeah.
Because I'll put it this way. I feel like this is one act that they've cared about enough that I'm hoping that like they have an exit plan for. I don't think they're like they do so often breaking it up for the sake of breaking it up. Like they have been pretty consistent with the family. And I don't know if that's just because the people in it have taken a point of pride in that or whatever. But this is certainly one of the acts that have been more cohesive in that regard. So I'm hoping that they have some sort of plan of attack for the breakup here.
Yeah.
Because you're right, like this, it doesn't feel to me as presented, and this is not a knock on anybody else. It doesn't feel like Stax, Ange, and Luca are the play. Like that doesn't feel like a strong enough pillar of a faction there, because one guy is literally an underboss, right? That's not like that's not where the focus has been. So I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. I think you're right. I think it'll play out the way that we think it's going to, because for no other reason than it almost has to. But I do wonder what's next for everybody involved. Brilliantly delivered, very fun.
Incredibly delivered.
Like, he's great.
Promo.
He's so great.
He's so good at this. So I'm really excited to see what's next for him. Kelani and Zelta and Soul had a backstage thing where Kalani's like, "Hey, when I beat her, I get a title match against you at Battleground, right?" "Yeah, that's right. And by us announcing that fact, there's zero chance you don't beat her tonight. It's fine." And like, you
Soul Ruka with an attitude feels a little funny.
Yeah, it does. Hey, that doesn't matter because that's not going to happen.
It feels inauthentic.
I already beat you once. I'm going to beat you again. And then she leaves and it's like, "I'm going to beat her." "Yeah, you got this." I'm like, "No, she doesn't. You put up a stipulation on the match that means she can't. So let's just figure out how." And like, I wonder if it's gonna be you get on the apron and she runs into you accidentally, and that distracts her.
She joined the Bloodline tonight, Alex. That is the Bloodline playbook. A spear, even we whole way.
Now we ran back the thing from the previous match where Kelani ended up in the arms of Sol Ruka, and they stared at each other for a long time. And then they did that tonight it's a downright sexual tension. It just straight up is. This is
the way they look at each other, man.
It's not me using this term. This is what I have read online by several people. This story is so queer coded.
Okay,
that is what I have read, and I mean, I don't know if it is, but that's what people are saying, and it's interesting because they did the same staring at each other longingly, but this time it was Zelta and Soul.
I know.
Not Soul and Kelani. So like, is this a love triangle thing?
I don't know.
That's not right. Because I don't know. I don't trust this company to actually handle that well at all.
Why not? They have such a great
the literal decades of experience watching them not handle things like this well. So
what if I told you they cut basically all of their out talent? So
I would say that doesn't strengthen the argument.
Not great. I've said this before, but I feel like it needs to be made note of again. It's unfair how pretty Kelani Jordan is. It's just not. It's not fair to other women that exist in the world. She's one of the most stunning people that's ever existed, and I for one don't appreciate it as I'm here in my hoodie with my hair up and my glasses on, not even trying. Okay, I don't appreciate that somebody on Earth can look like that. That's not fair. It's not fair that she's that pretty. You don't get to exist in that form at a physical
Kelani Jordan,
vessel.
At her best, looks better than me at my worst, and that is not fair.
Oh, well, I've given up because, like, at my best, I'm not even close to how pretty that woman is.
I don't know.
So
maybe
it's
you
just
should
deflating.
show up. Maybe you should show up at 5 o'clock in the morning for makeup call and sit in the chair and see what they can do with you.
It's unfair that a human being gets to exist in a physical vessel that is that beautiful. I'm not here for that. It's rude. This was not my favorite showing of Kalani's, even in like this newer wave. There wasn't anything downright bad about it. I think the opponent of Zelta gave her a bit of a challenge on the selling side that maybe she was still sort of figuring out. There were some parts of this where she just popped up a little too easily from what Zaria can deliver, I felt like.
Right.
But I mean, if that's the thing that I'm being critical of compared to where she was 6, 8, 10 months ago.
Right.
Beyond. This just isn't my favorite of like the new wave matches for her. But she's come a very long way. She's also getting, now that she's more comfortable, I feel like there's just some more creative sequences being put together with her as well.
Yeah.
Like she's now figured out like, okay, this is who I am as a wrestler. These are the things that I'm freakishly capable of gymnastics wise. And now she's like starting to put together like fun ways to maneuver in the ring a little bit differently that I think are a little more inspired. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing her continue to grow because she's just been a really fun and fascinating and rewarding wrestler to watch. But I mean, to even do the I accidentally hit you spot as a spear, like she's a black hoodie away from joining the bloodline, man. That was like every Zaria Uso is not that far away. Like, come on.
Yeah. So anyway, she spears Soul off the apron, and Kelani does the schoolgirl, but she does put all the weight over the legs, which is the correct way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I like that basically Zaria was immediately out on to the floor to check on Soul to make sure she was okay.
Yes.
And listen, I understand like Kelani won the inaugural title at Battleground last year. It's at Battleground again this year that she has a chance to get it back. I understand all those things. I feel like we could have gotten there without on the go home show putting her in a match that was so obvious was going to lead to her getting the match. You know what I mean? We could have actually built it in a way that was not in that particular way. But anyway.
Especially because she has had so much growth between that Battleground and this one. You know what I mean? Like it would have been cool if they visited that. I got you.
The dueling concerts. Trick Williams rapped. Most of the refrain was I ain't gonna back down from an average Joe. He just said that a lot. That was most of the rap was that. And I do appreciate using the phrase average Joe. That's one of those things I should have come up with myself.
Absolutely.
But that was mostly the rap, so that's good.
Like huge just dodgeball nostalgia getting triggered for me as well.
Okay.
Average Joe's chin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And Joe Hendry's response, like he watched the concert from backstage in the locker room, and he's like, I see. Now the gloves are off. So you wrote your response after he did this? You didn't practice. You didn't have it. Okay.
Honestly,
it did feel like it. Maybe that's why it sucks so much, because you should have spent more time writing it. Because his response was awful. And like he was like, here's some video from 2021
of him being Carmelo Hayes' bitch.
Yeah, of the no, actually it was the haunted house of 2022. So 2.5 years ago, when he was Carmelo Hayes' sidekick, they went to a haunted house and they ran away. And so this time he used fancy Photoshop to put a picture of his face over whatever ghoul mask that the person was using, and then showed Trick Williams running away from it. He says, you like to say whoop that trick, but we all know you as Carmelo's bitch, which I guess is better than using Ethan Page's vlog from the pandemic era to be like, Ethan, put on some clothes. At least in NXT canon, Trick Williams was Carmelo Hayes' sidekick, but this none of to me, I don't know. I didn't feel like anybody else it didn't feel like the crowd was like, oh wow, all of these jokes are fire. Don't we all agree? None of it felt like it landed. So
no, and it
I don't
also felt like he was like kind of just settling into it right when Trick came out. Like, I think part of why this works a little bit better in TNA is, one, he wins matches, and two, like when he has Joe Hendry in concert, he gets like the full breathing room of a segment, where this felt like a verse and a half kind of. And
Yep.
I did appreciate the Photoshop job quite a bit, but this is not like the Joe Hendry cleverness and fire that got him so over with people. This was like just not very good. It just wasn't very strong.
Nope. But then he was interrupted by Trick Williams as he just begged the audience to sing the chorus of calling Trick,
which
Carmelo
they did.
Bitch.
Honestly,
They're all too happy to do that.
They blushed. I thought it was like Trick goes, I did hear someone say Average Joe though, and I liked that. Like, I like that he found someone that was like, I got one.
But then he attacked Joe Hendry, but Joe Hendry hit him with a chair with a guitar, and then stood over him, saying, "At the end of the day, Joe Hendry is still the champion of TNA." Like, wow, man, that's okay. I hope not for long though, because this is just. Also, somebody informs me that on TNA TV, the angle they're running with is that his shoulder is so bad he needs rotator cuff surgery, but they're not doing any of that on NXT TV. So he's miraculously healed on Tuesdays, and in that the angle is, oh, my shoulder is so bad I must get surgery on it on Thursdays. That's apparently the thing that they're doing.
Incredible gap of creative. That is like, we talk about creative inconsistencies a lot on the show, but that's like kind of inexcusable, honestly.
Yep.
If you're working a kayfabe injury on one program and not the other, that's bad.
Yeah,
that is bad. Don't love that.
Anyway, I guess wrestling math will tell us that Trick Williams will beat Joe Hendry. But
I mean, normally I would rely on that, but if a guy has an intense shoulder injury on one show that requires surgery and not the other, can I really rely on that? Also, shout out to Trick for selling the go home. That was actually the most impressive thing, was Joe Hendry slamming him. I was like, oh, he actually like threw him down with some force. I liked that. But Trick was selling it like he was murdered. His eyes were like rolling back in his head. He did a good job on that sell, but that was like, that shouldn't have been my favorite part of the segment, but I was like, oh, Joe Hendry actually like showing kind of some flash of how strong he can be was good.
He's been working the shoulder injury since before his WrestleMania appearance.
Lord almighty. So
come on, man.
So he doesn't acknowledge Ethan Page on NXT, but he has a match against him where he also has an injury, and like, man.
Yep. All right. Let's do some more Australia puns. I'm saving that one for last because it's so friggin' good. Tom LaValle says Miles Melbourne. Or Melbourne.
Very good.
And Queensland Aminata.
That is excellent.
Also, the daughter of Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, Kangaroo.
Oh, how sweet.
Jambeard says Tim Tam Thatcher and the Great Barrier Ref.
Oh, that's so good.
Meet Normus says Crikey Lynch and Speedball Vegemite Bailey. Meet Normus says Big Emu, Xavier Wallaby, Kofi Crocodile. It's a new day. Yes, it is, mate. Dingo Femi, Sheer Drop Brisbane Buster, and the Wallaroos of Jericho.
Very nice.
Mike Schott says ACJC Mateo. Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Ring. Romper Swerve Stomper. Jasmine in Excess. And Mel Gibbs, son of a plumber. C. Delgado says alligator catch. Fandango. And AJ brings the boomerang. Lieutenant Photo says platybussy. And Outbacky Lynch. That's from actually Louisville. But given to us by Lieutenant Photo. Electric Mayhem said Yeatsing Matilda, not Waltzing Matilda, but Yeatsing Matilda. But these two are fantastic. Louisville, my goodness, these two are like that's two S tiers. Not Queen Aminata, but Tween Agaranya. And not Killer Kowalski, but Killer Kowalski. Kowalski. Killer Kowalski. Yeah. Yes, also we need Kangaroo Jack on the screen somewhere, right? I mean,
oh my gosh, I hope we still have him.
And then everybody also is Mex Chewy says only come here to give you B-Day money from yesterday. Love you too.
Oh, thank you.
Mex Chewy. I see now Jambeard says, can we start a fund to have Alex and Kate review the Adam Sandler movie Jack and Jill? Why are we just choosing bad movies? But just
we
Ricardo
had a concept.
Just Ricardo says we need you guys to review Snatch, the movie Snatch, and he says I'll pay $100 for you guys to watch Snatch. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Here we go, watching good movies for $100. That should be the new name of this podcast. Watching good movies for $100. You pay $100, we'll watch a good movie.
Hell yeah.
Figured out a way to get that done.
This was Shawn's justification yesterday, and I don't buy it. Shaq is not a wrestling connection.
Get out of here. Alligator Albright.
The best wrestler in the Alley 2 belts. Let's go.
River School also comes back with the Kangaroo Ruby Soho. That was our first one that we got.
That's very good.
Yeah. Yes, and we also already from Alley Cease, we already did do Platybussy. We did that one. Thank you very much.
We did. Very good.
Okay. Here we go. We got some jukeboxes. You have one.
I do.
I think, yeah. Okay, so we'll all right. We'll start out with me doing one, and then I think you'll do yours, and then I'll finish out. Okay.
Sounds good.
Rafael Garcia says, because yesterday was May 19th, and Darby reached the top of Everest without Mox throwing him off. Jukebox request: Darby sings "Slow Chemical" by Finger 11. The wonder of the world is gone. I know for sure. All the wonder that I want I found in her as the whole becomes a part I strike to burn and no flame returns. Every intuition fails to find its way. One more table turned around and back again, finding I'm more lost than found when she's not around. When she's not around, I feel it coming down. Give me what I could never ask for. Connect me, and you could be my chemical now. Malachi Black, I miss you. Give me the drug you know I'm after. Connect me and you could be my chemical. Brody King, come choke me. Hang me off of the edge of Everest. Buddy Matthews, Julia Hart. Okay, that was good.
I miss you was got me so good. Like he's just on the top
sad.
of Everest looking out, just like
Tom LaValle wants Nya Girl to sing Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue. Didgeridoo Love is really great.
Unbelievable. La 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 la. I just can't get you out of my head. Boy, you're loving is all I think about. I just can't get you out of my head. Boy, it's more than I dare to think about. La 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 nya. I should be doing nyas for all those. I just can't get you out of my head. Boy, your loving is all I think about. I just can't get you out of my head. Boy, your loving is all I think about. Every night, every day, just to be in your arms. Won't you stay? Won't you lay? Won't you nya? Stay forever and ever and ever. Nya, 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 nya.
So good. So Louisville wants Paul Pawlowski to sing "Down Under" by Men at Work. Traveling in a fried-out combi on a hippie trail, head full of zombie. Met a strange lady. She made me nervous. He took me in, gave me breakfast, and she said, "Do you come from a land down under, where women glow and men plunder? Can't you hear? Can't you hear the thunder? You better run. You better take cover." Buying bread from a man in Brussels. He was 6'4", he was, and full of muscle. I said, "Do you speak my language?" He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, "I come from a land down under, where beer does flow and men chunder. Can't you hear? Do you hear the thunder? You better run. Better take cover." What?
That's beautiful.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we gotta bring somebody else in here. Hold on. It's me. I'm here. Hold on. See, now Tom LaValle wanted me to sing this song last week, but we missed it. So we're gonna sing it twice to make sure we get it. Here we go. Dusty, that's me, to sing "Memory" from Cats. That's a musical about cats.
Yeah. No, of course, yeah.
Midnight, not a sound from the pavement. Has the moon lost her memory? She is smiling alone. In the lamplight, the wizard leaves collect at my feet, and the wind begins to moan, Daddy. Memory, all alone in the moonlight. I can smile at the old days. I was beautiful then. I remember the time I knew what happiness was. Let the memory live again, baby. Every street lamp seems to be a fatalistic warning, if you will. Someone mutters in the street lamp gutters, and soon it will be morning. Daylight. I must wait for the sun rise. I must think of a new life, and I mustn't give in. When the dawn comes, Daddy, tonight will be a memory too. And a new day will begin, baby. Thank you.
That was a very passionate performance.
Thank you very much. That's good. Now, see,
you're welcome. Thank you for giving that to us.
Jam Beard wants Dusty, that's me, to sing "Waltzing Matilda" by Slim Dusty. Boy, I was not slim. I was 280 pounds of solid steel and sex appeal. That was me.
That's right.
Here we go. Once a jolly swag man camped by a billabong under the shade of a coolibah tree. He sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. He sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Down came a jumbuck to drink at the billabong, baby. He jumped up the swag man and grabbed him with glee. He sang as he shoved that jumbuck in his tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, if you will. Thank you.
And I will. And I will.
All right. So here's the last one. Now, we don't have a lot of crossover with TV star heaven, but for this man, I will make I will make, because all of us were also TV stars when you think about it. So we are allowed to go over there, but they are
Sure.
not allowed to come over here. So I will go over to TV star heaven so I can shake the hand of George Wendt, because he died today, poor George Wendt. This is everybody in TV star heaven when he walks in, and they all go, "No!" Like, yeah, I knew you were gonna say that, you know. But anyway, Tom LaValle and Jam Beard have both requested that I sing the Cheers theme in honor of George Wendt.
I think it's appropriate.
This is the classic. Making your way in the world today, baby, takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries, daddy, sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you got no lights and the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the cat up by its tail, and your third fiance didn't show. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they always glad you came. You want to be where you can see, baby, our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Do, 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 do.
Now, there's a third verse here. And since there was 2 requests, I figured we just go all the way and do the third verse. But I'm
Sure.
not going to do it. Somebody else will come in and do it.
Someone else. Who could possibly? Oh my goodness.
Hello! Here's the third verse in honor of George Wendt. Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead. The morning's looking bright. And your shrink ran off to Europe and didn't even write. And your husband wants to be a girl. Trans writes, be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You want to go where people know people are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. Do, 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 boo, poor. Thank you.
Ah, Ricky, you're such an icon.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for stopping by.
Oh, you know, it's a Tuesday. I've not got anything else going on.
Sure. Still appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
We love that.
All right, well.
You're
Keep
a
cool,
bicon.
gabagoos.
Yeah.
See you on Sunday.